get back to your seats if you would. That's enough fellowship. All right, as I've said already, I know we've got a lot of folks to visit, and I want to know, do we have any folks here that are not Baptists tonight? Anybody? That are not Baptists but wish you were? Okay, we're going to take care of that later. Okay, and all the rest of you are Baptists. If you're Baptist, raise your hand. You're Baptist and you're backslidden. There we go. Okay, I told Kelly, now, I always have a fear that, and being a pastor for a long time, you understand this, that my guest speaker would not show up. I've had that happen to me over the years. And so I told him if he didn't show up, I already had a sermon in my back pocket and I was ready to go. So he rescued y'all, I want you to know. But anyway, I want to introduce Kelly to you. Kelly's, many of you know of him, maybe know him personally. Kelly's a personal friend. We've known each other for a long time. We were involved when I was living in Nacogdoches a number of years ago in a free speech religious liberty case with the Nacogdoches Independent School District related to a citywide, area-wide crusade that I was coordinating at the SFA Coliseum. And during all that process, we ran into some problems with a ruling by the judge out of Tyler prohibiting the assembly programs that we had scheduled, and it became a real big issue very rapidly. The suit was filed by a professor at Stephen F. Austin University. And so word spread, and before we knew it, I was talking to Kelly on the phone, and then Jay Sekulow and David Barton, and all these guys. We were all on a radio program at the same time, just giving input and responding to questions. And so I kind of met him via a phone call way back then, and was impressed and appreciated all of their help. The good news of what came out of that whole situation, with all the negative publicity around the injunction that was filed, we had tremendous attendance in the SFA Coliseum. And the daughter of that English professor came to the last crusade service with one of the young people at our church, and she walked out and gave her heart to Christ. And when it was all over, she joined our church and was baptized in our church, and then she got involved in Bible drill. My wife was leading Bible drill at that time. She became a state Bible drill champion. And her dad would bring her to our church every week. And one day, one of the men stopped him and said, "How do you feel about your daughter accepting Christ and coming to church after the injunction that you filed?" And he said, "Well, sometimes you win a battle, but you lose a war." And true testimony there. And then he later left SFA, went to the University of Texas, where he's on the faculty there. But that young lady just continued forward in her Christian growth even after she went to college. And just, the last thing we heard, living just a tremendously changed life. Very faithful to her faith. But that's how we met. And then when I was pastoring south of Houston, we began holding once a year a Religious Liberty Sunday in our church. We became very convinced that if we were going to teach our people about America's godly heritage, we had to be responsible for that. Schools couldn't do that. Families didn't know how to do that. And so the church was going to have to take that on as a responsibility. So we developed a whole curriculum for teaching religious heritage and our godly heritage, religious liberty in our church that we would teach ever so often. And out of that process, people getting so interested, they asked about having a Religious Liberty Sunday. We did it in July when we were celebrating our country's birthday every year. And so I thought of Kelly. We invited Kelly to our church. He came down to our church 2 different years. He spoke and shared on that Sunday. And to my recollection, Kelly, he never got through speaking where he didn't get a standing ovation. And our people were so grateful for what he was doing, for his calling, and for what he was sharing, and his place, his role in defending our freedoms and our values in this country. Later, our high school superintendent, our school district superintendent, came to one of those services. He was a Presbyterian. And he was so impressed by what he heard, he approached us later and he said, "Would y'all sponsor bringing Kelly into our school district and doing a law and faith seminar for the administration, for all the faculty, and for any parents that would like to attend?" And so we contacted Kelly, brought him back, and he did that, and it had a profound impact on our administrators. They were already facing religious liberty situations and freedom of speech situations in ways that most of us didn't even realize. And it came up during the question and answer time. And so it was so good to have him back. And so we're just so grateful for what he does. Kelly, as most of you know, he serves as the Chief Counsel of the Liberty Legal Institute. And that's an organization based in Plano that fights for religious liberties, protects First Amendment rights in courts in Texas and also nationwide. Kelly's considered an expert in constitutional law. He's argued cases before the U.S. Supreme Court, the Texas Supreme Court, and he's also served as co-counsel in numerous other U.S. Supreme Court cases. He's testified before the U.S. House, the U.S. Senate, and the Texas legislature. And in the legislative arena, he's played a major role in drafting and passing the Texas Marriage Amendment, which we're grateful for here in our state, and numerous other bills protecting family and religious freedom. He has been a special guest on many different media outlets, from the Today Show, CNN, New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the O'Reilly Factor. I called Bill and told him he couldn't have Kelly tonight. We had him scheduled already. He's been featured in U.S. News and World Report, USA Today, the Washington Post, Washington Times, and also the L.A. Times. Kelly graduated in 1988 from Baylor. He's a bear. I'm a Longhorn. That's the only thing we disagree on. I'm going to eventually lead him to the Lord. But he earned the highest unadjusted GPA in his law school class. And in his undergraduate work, he graduated with cum laude honors from Baylor University. He's a member of Who's Who International. His wife's name is Karen. He's got three kids, Nathan, Catherine Ann, and Noah. And he was the founder of the Liberty Legal Institute in 1997. And today, the Liberty Legal Institute consists of staff attorneys and a network of over 120 dedicated litigators across the state. It's headquartered in Plano, as I mentioned, but also has offices in 6 other cities in our state. So we are honored to have him tonight, and I just want to say I appreciate him like you do, not just for what he does in the judicial system, and I'm grateful for that, but I'm so grateful because he is a genuine Christian who loves the Lord and loves God's Word. He does what he does because God called him to do what he does. And you'll appreciate him as he comes. Let's give him a big round of applause.